how do you know when it's good enough? Like, how do you know when a certain part of your business has been improved to the point where you can stop and move on to something else? And you're probably thinking, wait, what do you mean good enough? Isn't perfect good enough? Don't you have to get things exactly the way they should be? Absolutely world class before moving on. And what I want to show in this video is why that's not necessarily a helpful way to think about your business, or probably anything for that matter, and offer you a different viewpoint. So this is going to be one of those more conversational, casual style videos, less technical tax stuff and more just kind of mindset things. So here's where this whole thought came from. There's a certain order that we need to do things in our businesses before we can do something else. So let me give you an example from an author's perspective. If you were too worried about, let's say, conversion rates before worrying about like the types of leads or the types of customers that you're bringing in to your business or to your website, it could cause issues. So as an example, let's say you're super focused on conversion rates. Your conversion rate's low and you really want to increase it. So you spend money optimizing your Shopify store. You add all these apps and everything else to get everything where it needs to be for your Shopify store, and you really work on increasing your conversion rate. And let's say you do. The people who are coming to your website start buying more. More of those people start buying. But what if those leads weren't actually great fits for your business? Like, what if they're looking for a book that's different from what you're actually selling? Then that's going to turn into bad reviews. It's going to turn into possibly returns. And now you're going to have to deal with reputation risk, customer service. You have to go out and get better reviews to offset the bad reviews. And you've spent all this time and money focusing on conversion. And so now you don't necessarily have that money available to use for other things. So you've moved backwards. It's not just that you haven't moved forward, you've moved backwards. On the other hand, let's say you have identified beforehand that you really need better leads, more so than conversion. And so you focus on making sure that the people who are coming to your website are actually the people who want to be reading your kind of book. Maybe you do that by changing your blurbs. Maybe you do that by changing your ad copy. Maybe your covers need to be redesigned to better fit the style of book you're writing. Whatever it is, you do those things to get better leads into your website or onto your platform. Those people are more likely now to spend more money with you and to refer you to other people who are now going to spend more money with you. You might actually find that you don't even need to increase your conversion rate because you've increased your lead quality and the people coming into your business. So that's why the order of things matters. If you focus on something out of order, then you're going to spend time and money moving backwards when you could have actually had like exponential growth by focusing on the first thing. So then what is that right order of things? We usually look at things through a series of steps: attract, convert, deliver, and collect. This comes from Mike Michalowicz book called Fix This Next. He says it's the AC/DC approach, but it's essentially the entire business model. You have to attract qualified leads to your business. You have to convert them to customers. You have to deliver on that commitment, and then you have to collect the money. Sometimes the collection of the money comes before the delivery. Like if you're a Shopify store, then they pay at the time of purchase and then you deliver the book. But I would argue until that person has an opportunity to get the book and possibly get a refund if they were unhappy with it, you actually haven't collected that money. So I still think that order, AC/DC, attract, convert, deliver, collect, is still the right order. And so that's the order you look at things in. Are you attracting the right types of customers to your business? Before you can worry about your delivery or your conversion, you have to make sure that that's in place. And then once you know that you have enough qualified leads coming into your business to support the level of business you need, then you can worry about how many of those are converting into customers. And once you know that you have a good conversion rate of those, you need to make sure that your delivery is on point. Are you fulfilling your orders on time? Are you sending out what you promised to send them? And are you collecting money on that and minimizing your refunds and your chargebacks? Now, here's where the problem with perfectionism comes in. You can look at that system and you can decide, okay, I need to focus on attracting more leads and converting them into customers. It's that system that needs to be improved. But then you can spend way more time and energy and money on that process than you need to get it to where it needs to be before you start worrying about the delivery piece. I'm going to give you an example from my own business. For the longest time, we relied almost solely on referrals to get new clients. We had no real marketing, no way of collecting like email addresses. I didn't have a newsletter. I wasn't going out and finding clients. And so we recognized that I needed a way to actually go out and get the clients that we wanted to serve, especially whenever we started working specifically with authors in the indie author space. And so what do? We started going to conferences, we started getting on podcasts, started this YouTube channel, we started a newsletter, we started an author community. We did all these things to reach more of the types of clients that we wanted to work with so that we can offer our service to more clients. And it worked. Like now we're working with tons of authors on their bookkeeping and taxes and advisory and cash flow and profit first. But if I'm looking at like the attract and convert system that we have in our business, like how do we attract clients? Typically by going and speaking at conferences or getting on podcasts. And how do we convert those people into clients? It's typically by receiving an inquiry from them about information about the services we offer, or maybe getting on a sales call or discovery call or something like that. Those things aren't really well systemized. Like I don't have a list of things that I'm supposed to do whenever I go out to a conference. I don't have like a calendar that says I need to make sure that I have a conference or an appearance on a podcast or something this many times per year. I don't have like a systemized checklist of things that we have somebody fill out in order to work with us. And I don't have like a script or a sales script. Like we just it's kind of off the cuff and just personalized. And that could be really good. Like it comes across as human because it is really human. It's not robotic or automated, but at the same time, it does make that system really inefficient. So like the perfectionist in me says, well, that needs to be fixed. That needs to be world-class. I need to be able to automate this to make it more efficient, to get a lot of the manual work off of my plate with that. Now, here's the problem with this though. We're already seeing, because of the influx of clients that we're bringing in, that during certain points a year, especially like when it's tax season, it was taking us longer to get clients in a position where we're just regularly doing the bookkeeping without having to get things set up. And so if I was focused solely on getting that conversion cycle world-class and perfect, in the meantime, the people who have already signed up for services would start feeling like they were forgotten about as soon as a sale was finished. So we recognized we're bringing in enough clients for our system to be able to handle. So now we need to focus on the system to handle those clients while still bringing on new clients. We are still taking clients, but we're now focusing resources more on getting our onboarding and our actual delivery even better. So we are expanding our team. I'm excited about that. We're bringing on somebody to help specifically with onboarding and month-to-month bookkeeping so that we can handle a higher lead volume. And so we're going to focus on that. But here's the thing, like that doesn't need to be world-class immediately. So here's how I would look at it instead of thinking, well, everything in the business has to be perfect from day one. I would look at it like, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these soundboards, like at a church or at a concert, or even a conference, I guess, where it has all these dials and like this dial might be for this microphone, this dial might be for this amp or whatever. I don't know how all that works. But the way I think of it is if you turn, let's say even you're supposed to go in order, left to right. If you take that left dial and go all the way to 100% all at once, you're going to overload everything that happens after that point. This is a terrible metaphor, but just follow me. It's going to overload everything after that point. If instead, though, you just turn up that dial just enough to where the rest of your system can handle it, then you can move on to the next dial and turn that up just to the point where the system can handle it. And then the next one up, then the next one up, and so on. And so what you end up having is instead of like trying to get everything up all at once, or instead of like taking this one and going all the way to 100 and this one and all the way to 100, instead what we're doing is we're kind of like going up to 20 and then 20 and then 20 and then 20. And then we're going up to 25 and then 25 and then 25 and so on. And so you're constantly just wanting to like gradually move things forward. You know, another good example of this, if you ever go like to one of those arcades and they have that little penny game where you put the pennies, or I guess it's quarters now, you put the quarters in and there's this little arm that's moving the quarters towards the little drop point, and the whole goal is to get them further in. You're thinking of your business like that. Like you're just making gradual improvements so that it gets closer and closer to being perfect rather than trying to get everything perfect all at once. Because at different stages of business, you're going to be focused on different things. In the beginning, if your expenses are more than your revenue, you're going to be focusing on getting more revenue in the door. And so, no, you don't necessarily need everything to be world-class. You just need to be enough to bring in enough clients or bring in enough customers to cover your expenses. Once that's done, now you need profit. So now you need to bring in enough customers, convert enough of them, and deliver enough of them to become profitable. And then you move on to the next step and the next step and the next step. So it's not it's not something that you build once and then it's just perfect forever. And then you never have to worry about it again. Instead, it's one of these things where you're constantly tweaking in a cycle. Like once we have this onboarding person in place, we're going to go back to the conversion cycle and we're going to say, okay, now how can we bring even more people in so that we can meet the capacity we have? And we'll get up to the point where we're almost at capacity and then we'll increase our capacity again. And then we'll go back and do it again. So it's a constant back and forth. It's not a one and done type of thing. And for me personally, just being able to recognize that I don't have to make this thing over here perfect in order to move on to the next step. And also remembering that there's going to be a point in time where I go back and I work on the first thing again, and then I work on the second thing, and then the third thing. I just do it over and over again. That's, I don't know. It's like permission to let it be what it is and move on, knowing that I'm going to be reviewing it again. So I guess the perfect example of this would be to set these milestones and say, all right, once, I don't know, once we're at 70% capacity, then maybe I'll work back on this until we have this many leads coming through the door or something. And then once that happens, then I'll focus on increasing capacity. And then once that happens, we'll go back to this. That'd probably be a really good idea. I'm probably not going to get that specific with it. I don't know if I'd ever recommend anybody getting that specific with it, especially whenever you're just trying to reach like 6 or 7 figures. Another thing though, to be really good, I guess this is something you could do, is just set a schedule and say like maybe once a quarter or once a year, you review your business and you just say like, what is the thing that's keeping you back from growing your business? And I think that's really the crux of all this. Like when we looked at our system, it wasn't that we were not bringing in enough clients or enough leads. And so we had to look at like, what was the bottleneck? Well, the bottleneck was we didn't have a big enough team. And so now we're having a bigger team. And so like for your author business, is the bottleneck that you're not converting enough of the people coming through the door? Or is the bottleneck really that you're not bringing in enough people? Or is the bottleneck that they're not buying enough stuff? So look at your business and try and see like, where are things getting stuck? Why aren't you making more money because of that one thing? And then improve that one thing just good enough to unstick it and then move on to the next thing. So my question for you for the comments is, what part of your business have you been over perfecting? Like, have you been thinking have to be perfect and you've just been spending way too much time? Or maybe if whenever you think something should be perfect, you ignore it. And that's sometimes my tendency. Like if I think this has to be absolutely world class, then I'm going to avoid it if I don't think I can get it to that point immediately. And so then it just doesn't get improved at all. And then nothing gets improved. So think about that. What things are you either avoiding or what things are you spending too much time on? That's probably an indication of where you are being a perfectionist and feeling like something needs to be better than it really needs to be. Curious to hear what you think. And I'm also curious to hear if this was even helpful. Let me know in the comments. And otherwise, I'll see you next time.